Hi, my name is Jackie Miller, and I have been working with a rising fourth grader named Bennett Keskey. And I wanted to share some things that we have been working on in our sessions. And additionally, this slide deck is going to serve as a resource for you as the parent to just be able to work with Bennett on specific strategies. And I'm going to suggest a few things that I've been working on in sessions with him that you can continue at home as well. So this is just serving as a resource for you. First, I wanted to start by saying that, you know, in general, helping fourth graders enhance their reading skills can really be an exciting time. I think not all students really come in grasping all of their foundational skills, or they might struggle in an area. And so for Bennett, two really good strategies that I've been working on with him are word mapping. And so I'm going to go in depth as to what word mapping is with the Elkinen boxes. So taking a couple boxes that I've just been drawing for him, and then he's breaking apart a word into the boxes. And so I'll go in detail to what that is and what it looks like. And then also repeated reading. So taking a reading passage and having him read it multiple times. And so I'm doing these things to promote one, just catching him up with some foundational skills that he needs support with, increasing his fluency, and making just reading in general more enjoyable for him. Because I know he's emphasized to me that he's just struggled a bit with reading, but he wants to be a really strong reader, and he has a passion for reading. And so even in our sessions, I think he's getting stronger each week. So you're probably wondering, how can I help Bennett at home, and what are some things I can do as the parent? So reading is really just the foundation to learning. If they are struggling to decode or recognize vowel patterns or vowels in general and how those blend, they're going to fall behind. And so these two strategies that I'm going to show to you are evidence-based. They align with the science of reading. They're very easy to do at home, so they're not going to take a lot of fancy tools or materials. They're just really simple. And so I'm going to show you both of these and how I do these with Bennett. So the first one is word mapping. And word mapping is a way for students to visualize sounds and their letters that accompany those. So my example today I'm going to show you is saying a word train. So I would say train, and he would repeat the word train, and then we would stretch the sounds first. So usually I have him finger tap, where I take his fingers and I touch them, or he taps each finger to his thumb. So I would say, okay, say the word train. He would say train. And then I would say, okay, let's tap the word train. Ready, go. Ain. So each time I'm saying a sound, I'm actually taking my finger and tapping it to my thumb. So he knows there's at least 4 different sounds in that word. And then I was drawing boxes for him, but since he is a rising fourth grader, I'm having him now draw the boxes. So I tell him, draw a box for each of the sound, and I want you to write the letters that match each of the sounds. So this builds his one-to-one correspondence, his phonemic awareness or listening to those sounds, and really to narrow in on his reading skills and just practice them. Another strategy that I've been using with Bennett is repeated reading. So repeated reading helps improve overall his fluency and just him as a confident reader. So you're not just going to read a passage once. You're going to read it multiple times to see, am I getting faster? How many words am I missing the first time? And then how, might I improve each time I read it? So how it works is I'm giving him a short passage, and I'm setting a timer on my phone, and I'm saying, hey, I want you to read this for 1 minute. I want you to track or point to the words. and just read as you normally would. And so, I'm having him do this once. I'm recording the number of correctly read words, and then I'm having him do it 2 or 3 more times, but also celebrating a lot of his success along the way. So, those are just 2 of the strategies we work on every week quite frequently. I switch out the words during word mapping, and so I'll show you what I do on the next slide here. So the first strategy, word mapping with Elkin boxes, these are the boxes that I just drew, but obviously I have him draw those boxes for me when he is placing the sounds in there. So, I'm taking the word train and let me use some of my tools here. And I might say, okay, I want you to draw these boxes and I want you to separate the sounds when you're saying the sound. So I say the word train, he says train, and I say, okay, I want you to put a sound in each box. So I say t, ain. And what I'm trying to work on with him is making sure that he recognizes that there's only 4 sounds. I think it can be tricky sometimes to know that that vowel pattern AI only is going to fill one box versus A and I in a different box. That's why we usually tap each sound first, and then I have him write it. So, I might also in a drill say, okay, we just did train. I want you to show me if we switch the t to a pull, what would the word say? If we switch the t to a pull, and I'm having him segment the sounds, pull, ain. And this is what I've typically seen him do is I've seen him put the blend in one box, and I want him to separate those into 2 different boxes. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. So we might try this again and say, okay, I notice that you put the pull in one box. I want you to actually separate for each sound that you hear. So pull, ain. I might say next, okay, now I want you to write the word drain instead of plain. So again, I'm looking to see, is he separating those sounds? D, r, ain. So this is super quick. It doesn't take a lot of effort. It's something that I always pre-plan just so he understands, the drill and what words I want him to switch to. And so this works for a couple of different reasons. It helps him to see parts of a word and how those can be broken apart. It actually builds his phonemic awareness skills over time because he needs to be able to hear those sounds in the word. I can actually pinpoint where he's struggling. So in that instance, he was, taking apart, or I'm sorry, putting together a blend in the one box where I wanted him to separate that. That's, an area I want him to work on. Sometimes it's a vowel team that I'm seeing that he may be struggling with. So just some things to keep in mind. When you're working on drills with him, is that you're also paying attention to like where he's struggling and providing those corrections. So this is another slide just for some other examples or things you could try. So segmenting sounds, mapping 3 boxes in the word ship, in the word dream, And then, like I had mentioned, we're using fingers to tap each sound, then writing. So that's a skill that I really believe in because it gives them a practice opportunity versus just throwing them into it and asking them to perform. It gives them a couple chances to like break apart those sounds multiple times before they're writing it. A lot of times you can also give corrections in the moment or see where they're misstepping before they're writing. So I did provide some like long A, long E, and irregular examples that you could try, and then mapping some irregular words too. So words that are just not typical or that we don't see in print. So see if he can do those. Those are just some key skills that I've been working on with him to like switch out words or provide him different vowel teams or try some irregular words too within our drill time together. And then repeated reading is another skill I've been working on with Bennett. Repeated reading is fantastic because it is so easy to do and it doesn't take a lot of time. You could read um, a passage, not in its entirety because it only takes a minute to read a section, and then celebrate the progress each time he reads it. So you're going to choose short passages on their reading level. So I actually put a couple passages in this slide deck that you can use. You're going to have Bennett read it for 1 minute. And like I had mentioned, I use my phone just to be able to set the timer. And when the timer goes off, he's done reading, and then we go through and track. How many words correctly did you read, and we talk about like his improvement over time. And he gets so excited to see like, wow, I actually am a good reader, and because I'm practicing, I'm getting better and better each time. So. I think for Bennett, he really looks forward to repeated reading time because my praise and just like positive corrections keep him wanting to do more and trying more for me. So I think the first step to repeated reading is just choosing that passage. So for Bennett, I always try to choose something that he's interested in based off of his surveys that he answered for me. What are some things that you like, don't like? Because that's going to increase his motivation to read it, right? So, like, I know for Bennett, he really loves baseball. So, some weeks I've been trying to find passages that are baseball related. In this particular slide deck, I did include a couple different passages that you could try. Or you could ask his teacher, what are some reading passages that we could work on at home that are short, very brief, that would take, only a couple minutes to read. So, super important that he's reading just familiar and relevant content. It just would reinforce obviously his confidence and keep him wanting to read. So when he's going to do this, you're going to count how many words he reads once he's done with that 1 minute. So you're not counting while he's reading, it's when he's completely done. And then, have a recap with him. Say, when you were reading that for 1 minute, I noticed you were tracking the words, and tracking means pointing underneath the words. You were spending a lot of time making sure you were getting those words correctly. And so, just tell him and show him like those little things that you've been noticing when he's doing the work, because it really does make a difference. And then I always try to celebrate his achievements. So, let's say you read 84 words on the page in a minute. That would be a lot. But let's say you read, I don't know, 25 words on the page a minute, and then you increased it to 37 words on the page, like, giving him some celebration in that and showing like how far he's come. It makes a big difference. So this is just an example of a passage you could use. So it's called the story tree. And so that was one passage I included. He likes to learn about some nonfiction from what I've gathered, and just I've talked to him a little bit just about things that interest him. And so I picked this passage just as a first step to read either fiction or nonfiction in his repeated reading. And then another one, A Grand Old Clock. So this is another nonfiction type of passage, and it allows him to not only learn about um, this type of content, but it also just keeps changing his format. We don't want to always give him like a story to read. We want to give him other pieces to read that interest him. And we also would just want to make sure that we're encouraging him through that repetition. So,